President Trump hitting back as Iran demands financial compensation. The president now demanding peace talks include compensation from the regime for a half-century of death and destruction stretching all the way back to 1979 against Americans. Vice President Vance telling Fox the talks are still in a middle stage.
This thing is not over. It's obviously not at the beginning. We're in the middle of the game, and we're applying a whole host of tools, diplomatic, economic, military tools, to ensure that we get the best outcome for the American people. I feel quite confident we will get there, but we're still a bit in the middle of the game.
Retired Colonel Mike Jernigan is a former Iraqi invasion commander and Heritage Foundation visiting fellow. Mike, good to be with you this afternoon. The president does appear to be looking at the economic portion of this again, out of what J.D. Vance was saying there just a moment ago. Here's what he told Axios. He says, we're only semi-negotiating with them. We're just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact they have no money. He stressed that Iran is in, quote, very bad shape economically and has no money to pay its troops. The U.S. naval blockade has exacerbated the Iranian regime's economic crisis, Trump said. It will work out. It always works out. It's like a chess game, Trump said, of the back and forth with Iran. So the plan seems to be to choke out the Iranian regime with economic strangulation. But the president tried that some weeks ago. It didn't work.
Hey, good afternoon, John. You're exactly right. It is working. It's the long game. The Iranians are losing $500 million a day. They have 85% inflation. At the end of that quote, it says they're running out of money to pay their soldiers and their police. But more importantly, they're paying subsidies to their population to keep them compliant. They're running out of money to pay that, too. Their currency is trading at 2 million rials to the U.S. dollar. They cannot open the blockade because they say the Straits of Hormuz are closed, but actually they're only closed to Iran. Ships continue to get out every day. I'm reminded, John, of David Bowie and Queen's song, Under Pressure, because that's what the Iranians are feeling right now.
Regardless, though, the foreign ministry says that they've got the upper hand. Listen to the foreign ministry spokesman here.
As long as the U.S. naval blockade remains in place, under UN General Assembly Resolution 3314, a naval blockade of this kind amounts to an act of aggression. As long as other U.S. violations continue, the necessary conditions will not be in place for us to say that the Strait of Hormuz has become a safe waterway.
You know, that is the one card that they've got to play, is threatening shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. We haven't been able to take it away from them. And until we do, they're going to keep playing this game.
Yeah, it's important to notice that the Iranians are running out of assets and options. My friends at U.S. Space Force were telling me that the Iranians shot close to 1,000 missiles a day at the beginning of this. Now they're shooting 8 to 20 a day. That's orders of zeros of magnitude that they're not being able to get resupplied. Similarly, they're striking drones as they leave the waterway, saying that it's closed. They throw one little final shot of, and don't come back. And so what you're seeing from the foreign minister is you're seeing floundering publicly and internationally.
So last week we were reporting on a deal that Oman was cutting with Iran that may allow Iran to control traffic inbound to the Strait of Hormuz, and that Oman would handle traffic that's outbound from the Strait of Hormuz. And it seems to me that for the United States, giving Iran any kind of control or veto power over who goes in or out of that strait would be disastrous, particularly when we've got an entire fleet of warships up there in Bahrain in the Fifth Fleet headquarters.
John, you're exactly right. That claim and the negotiations between Iran and Oman is ludicrous, in my opinion, because imagine, an 18-year-old girl and she wants to go to the prom and she wants a date, and she's negotiating with her 8-year-old brother to get a date instead of negotiating with other 18-year-old boys. And so that's what Iran is doing. They're showing progress to their internal population. Look, we're doing something. We're negotiating something that doesn't matter and we can't enforce and nobody's going to agree to. But look, we're doing something, instead of actually negotiating to give up their nuclear weapons and give up their claims to control the Straits of Hormuz.
Well, we'll see where all of this goes. Might be a little puzzling to some people at the moment, but we'll see. President Trump has pulled rabbits out of a hat before. We'll see if he can do it this time around. Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, John.
All right, Sandra.
All right, John.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with Me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.